addiction, it just can't be beat. This fever burns, oh so much. Got hooked from the very first touch. I've been bitten, ooh, can't stop this addiction. We grab our gear and head out the door. Gas up the truck, then it's pedal to the floor. Headed to the park and brought our gear. Find a frequency and make sure it's clear. Once bitten by the POTA bug, we fit together like hand in glove. I can't break this fever, radio tones that make you shake and shiver. Signal so clear, you're 5'9" strong. Good propagation, nothing can go wrong. I can feel that rush with the mic in hand. It's in my blood, transmitting across the band.
Calling CQ and saying 73. Stringing antenna wires up in the trees. Heartbeat syncing with the ham radio clock. Filling our logs, marking block by block.
Once bitten by the POTA bug, we fit together like hand in glove. I can't break this fever, radio tones that make you shake and shiver. CQ pull, rolling off my tongue. Voices fading with the setting sun. Spinning the dial, band's running hot. We'll be clear with you, waiting on the next stop. Once bitten by the POTA bug, we fit together like hand in glove. I can't break this fever, radio tones that make you shake and shiver. Folding table and folding chairs, wires and cables in the air. Hear that radio humming, the fire inside of you burning. Once bitten by the POTA bug, we fit together like hand in glove. I can't break this fever, radio tones that make you shake and shiver. I've been bitten again and again. Ooh, can't stop this addiction. It's that contagious POTA bug. Feel that adrenaline rush. I've been bitten. Can't stop this addiction. Don't want to experience the POTA withdrawals. This addiction has me on my knees, willing to crawl. Some even call it that ham radio crack, while having fun in my homemade shack. Once bitten by the POTA bug, we fit together like hand in glove. I can't break this fever, radio tones that make you shake and shiver. I'm addicted again and again, again and again. What a rush! That POTA
Woohoo! Good morning, Brew Crew. Wow. Dude, that's inspirational. Shannon, thank you so much for putting that awesome video out. I can't thank you enough. It gives me tingles every time I listen to it. And that tune is going to be my anthem song every time I roll into POTA Park. I'm Eric, N1JUR, and I'm hanging out with my illustrious co-host.
Yo, what's up, fellow kids?
She's been practicing that all week, I'm sure.
I'm Shannon KC1OHT here in the U.S. or 2 Echo Zero Oscar Hotel Tango if you're in the U.K.
There you go. Well, if you're watching live this morning, say hello in the chat, everybody. Good to see a bunch of people there. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Maybe you might be at Hamcation right now, and you decided to take a pause there and come hang out with us, which we appreciate so much. If not, heck, get into the that major line that's going to be forming this morning to have everybody pour in. So with that, who do we got in the chats this morning there, Shannon?
We got my sister from another Mr. Jabberjaw, Shannon K1LY. We have Kyle, we have Roger. I saw Sean in there, but I couldn't tag him, so maybe he left. We got KD2UDR Bingo. We got Gamer Kid Edits down in my chat. So good morning, everyone. I hope we all had a good weekend despite the Patriots losing the Super Bowl.
What? Who?
Very sad.
I have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to that. If you speak baseball, then I speak baseball. Go Red Sox. All right.
Yeah, that's on to the next thing. Go Red Sox.
That's the way our New England folks and our heritage is. So
exactly.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. If you just got to the chat this morning, welcome. But if you did miss the video at the very beginning, that was a montage that Shannon K1LY from the Hillbilly Ham Radio Club put together of all of some great POTA activators. It was awesome. I find it very funny because, what is the staple photo that every ham radio operator has to have? The microphone in hand, photo. Everybody's got one. You have one, I've got one. It's almost kind of like your license photo.
There's a reason why that's my logo.
Exactly. So yeah, if you missed that, here's the link there in the chat there. You can definitely check that video out and show her some love. She did a lot of great stuff to put all that together. And thank you again for doing that for sure. It moved my heart, made me think hey, this is exactly what the POTA community is about and everybody that's in the ham radio community. So yeah, definitely awesome job showing that out there. But like Shannon said, we got a lot going on this weekend. And, if we're rolling into Friday and, as we know today it's the lovely 13th. And I'm only going to say two things, that I have superstitions for only two things, baseball and Red Sox. Everything else, I don't want to hear I told you so. So, nothing in the chat. Don't mention this. Don't mention the holiday. If this show goes sideways, it's not related to the 13th at all. Just, move on. And so, like I mentioned earlier, heck, it is Hamcation weekend. All of the guys, YouTubers galore are out there doing videos and having some fun. So I am totally jelly and wish I could be down in warmer temperatures down there and hanging out. I will get that on the bucket list sometime soon. So maybe, we'll do something like that in the future and be able to join in all the fun and festivities that are going on down there. And there's some other day this weekend. I think it's Valentine's Day or something, but whatever. We'll just kind of roll the train forward there for all those that like to celebrate it. Good for you. It's great holiday. What way to show love one day out of the year to your significant other that you don't do 364 days of the rest of the year. All right, enough of my babbling on about craziness. So let's just kind of dive in. Maybe if it's the first time hanging out with us, welcome. This is Brew Activate. It's about real-world POTA. We can't get any more real than what we talk about here on the show every week. We talk about lovely, the wins, the slow days, that weird stuff, and the lessons you only learn by doing for sure. So whether you activate or you hunt, because this is a hunter's episode this week, and hopefully you guys are ready for hearing some good stuff to lay down there for hunters, or maybe you're POTA curious, you're definitely in the right place. So If you love this conversation, hit subscribe, hang out with us. Make sure you go over and subscribe, show some love to Shannon's channel there. Give her some support and props as she's always doing some great stuff. And hopefully, as the warmer weather kicks in, she'll be doing a little bit more POTA videos. I'm looking forward to seeing some of that. All right. And then lastly, please spread the love. We love to make sure people know more about this channel. So, spread the love, show folks that, heck, we get together every week and we talk about this stuff. And if they love POTA, they're going to want to come hang out with us and we can just build a great community here and do some cool stuff. So with that, we've got a couple of cool little things that are happening. So I'm going to just rep a little bit here. So those that know, or have been, we obviously sporting some hats here. These are the official Brew and Activate hats. Shannon's got hers. And, it's in the pink color. So if you're interested in getting some hats, let me know. I haven't done an order yet. We've got a nice, distributor who's kind of helping us out here. For those that might know the clubhouse, they've been doing some good stuff. Shane over there. So he's been helping out the show here and creating some really great material. But we've got a huge stock in of the koozies. And for those that might be interested, I am offering, actually, I got a quick, goal there. If you want to jump on the goal, you can get your own koozie, and I've got them in 4 colors. And so for those that might be interested, we're going to pop in here. So we got them in the original tan leather. We've got them in green. We've got them in red and orange. So if you're so inclined to pick one up and you want, you can always head over to the store at livefreeandham.com/shop. Pick your up there. You can buy a 4-pack of them if you can't decide, or you can buy individual colors. But for the one time and only deal, you can definitely pick up the goal there on the show today and get yours for, very low goal price. So,
here's the thing. Say you get the 4-pack, right? Don't you just hate it when you go to like a family party and everybody's drinking Coca-Cola and you can't remember which one is yours? So like maybe you do these little things where you take off the tab or you spin it around. You got a 4-pack of koozies. Everybody gets their own color koozie. You never mix up your Coca-Cola again. Just
always thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, there we go. That's awesome. I was trying to figure out new ways. I just substitute them, rotate them through every time I grab a beer or whatever. And so, yeah, they definitely get their use there. Orange tends to be my favorite color, I think. But I'm definitely not shying away from any of the other. I'm not usually a green guy. That's more of a grouch, kind of thing. But the green definitely is starting to grow on me there. So definitely, if you want to grab that in the super chat, feel free. And as always, we help support the show because we always like to make sure that we are not getting interruptions in your show for the live stream. So any of your super chat goals definitely help us out here and keeps the lights on and the show running. And so we appreciate everybody who's helped out in that way. So with that, let's kind of get into our POTA Minute this morning. We've got an interesting one here, so let's kick this show off. All right, the POTA Minute today. So this is the POTA Minute. One small POTA idea, one real-world observation, about 60 seconds, just to get you thinking. Nothing more. There's no right answer here, guys. Again, just stuff to start noticing after a few activations or maybe a few hundred hunts. So maybe if this has happened to you, say so in the chat. Let me know. If you do it differently, heck, even better. So let's dive into today's POTA Minute here. So we are going to be talking about when things don't go as planned. We all have these moments for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. Some activations always start smoothly, guys. Others, they just start as a problem from the very get-go. You can't avoid that, and it always gets you into trouble. But, hopefully you can come out shining on the other end. Problem activations always teach you more, right?
Yeah.
we
learn more from our failures than we do from our successes.
100%.
Although it could be sometimes you don't figure out what that problem was. Like, I think it was on the POTA. I was trying to set up the Wolf River coil, right? And I had set it up at that exact park, almost in that exact spot. at least 2 or 3 other times before. And then all of a sudden, the last time that I tried to set it up, it just had high SWR no matter what I did. And I like somebody else started to set up their own antenna because they were like, okay, let's go with ours. I'm like, all right, I got to take this whole thing apart and put it all back together to try to figure out like what is going on. And then I did that, and all of a sudden it just worked. So I'm like, don't ask me. There was a gremlin in there. We got it out. And then it worked.
Well, you introduced it to another antenna. I think it's that antenna anxiety or
Oh,
antenna,
okay.
jealousy that happens a lot of times, that you introduce a better or bigger or working antenna, and then all of a sudden the thing just starts working. Yes. I mean, we had that same thing, 24-hour POTA. All of a sudden, once we figured out what was wrong with the buddy hex, all of a sudden it was like doing some, amazing things. But either way. So yeah, I mean, it might be like a loose connection, like Shannon said, or noisy band or rush setup. Forces you to adapt, of course. And that adaptability, again, is one of the best POTA skills you can build. I guarantee. If you work on adaptability, you'll be even keeled. You'll have a great time. And no matter what life or whatever ham radio throws at you, it's going to be a great thing. All right. So with that, we've got some good stuff today. We're going to head on back over here. So we've got one of those things where we're going to kind of continue the train here moving, and we're trying to do a little bit introductory of different topics and themes over the next couple of weeks. This week, I felt that a lot of the hunters that are out there may not get a lot of love, because obviously they are the backbone of what we call ham radio and POTA, and without them, we'd be just activating ourselves, and park to parks would be the only thing. So it'd be kind of boring, I think, at this point.
Yeah, we would have no activation if it wasn't for the hunters. So, hunters really deserve a lot of the love because they're out there every day. We know who they are. Some of them are activators as well, but some of them are just people that they hunt you every single activation that you go on, no matter where you go, and you learn their voice, and you learn their call sign, and you learn their name, and you end up having this connection. You're like, hey, my friend, how are you? And maybe then you stop and rag chew for a few minutes because it's just this familiar voice that comes back to you every time.
Yep, 100%. We always, you're always picks up on those things that are memorable and, familiar. So
mine
very
is
good.
Foxtrot 4 India Lima Hotel. That's, Jean Baptiste, my favorite hunter from France.
You just like saying that, Jean Baptiste.
Yes.
Mine is good old Kilo 9 India Charlie Papa Bruce. So yeah, I can always say, I can guarantee. Usually he was hunting me consistently. Every once in a while, I think we just have crossed wires. But I definitely love hearing his voice and can hear him, very much through the noise. So very cool. So we are going to be working on, starting our series for the next couple of episodes here on hunters. So if you're a hunter, then you can be sure that you hopefully will learn something today. And if you're truly an activator, again, we're not going to leave you guys out because there's a lot you guys can learn from hunters and understand more how they hunt you guys, and we're going to talk around those types of topics. So let's kind of get into the topic for today, and while I'm doing that,
and everyone's dropping their favorite hunter.
Yes, yeah, very cool. Give him a shout out there. Go ahead, Shannon, while I'm setting up.
And AD2CD Toby, we got Jean has, a fan club, I think, because Shannon loves Jean, N2AKJ loves Jean, so.
There you go. Dude, it's amazing. The hunters are unsung heroes for sure. Can't deny them, and you definitely don't want to, no matter what. Okay, so we are going to talk today about the mindset of a great POTA hunter. It's kind of one of those compelling topics, I think. And so let's get into some of my slides. This is one of those things that I love, that I just throw a bunch of, key things at AI and say, hey, come up with something that like makes me feel like it's an action hero kind of adventure things, because POTA hunters, we rely on them. We love them, like we said, but at the same time, they are very much, helping us continue to, become great activators ourselves. So we're going to talk around not gear today, not awards, basically about patience and listening. I think that's kind of a good place to start, and we're going to start there. And so with our POTA activators, sometimes you run into the typical activator. If you're a hunter, you know this very well as you're trying to hunt, or maybe you're an activator and you're trying to do a little hunting before you actually get to do your activation. Most POTA reset. Most POTA content talks about activators, which we all know because it's the fun thing. But today, like I said, we're going to talk about the other half of that contact. Some hunters work parks all day with ease, which we've mentioned a few here. I mean, they are amazing. They just know how to navigate the whole process. They'll be able to get in, get out, and attack and pounce when they should. But others that are new hunters, or maybe they've been doing hunting for a while, they stare at that waterfall wondering what the heck they're doing wrong. Well, spoiler, it's never your radio. So just what exists in between your two ears is going to be a big theme we're talking about today. So let's get in there and dive in. So maybe you've hunted a park, waited patiently, missed it by seconds, or finally cracked a pileup. Well, you might be in the right place. So we're going to get into that. I got a little bit of a quick feedback from the audience there. I want to see, for most of the folks that are in there, I can see that, I can tell probably just as a quick glance, most of you are activators, but do me a favor, throw in the chat. Are you a hunter, activator, or both? What do you kind of classify yourselves as there? And we'll do a little quick.
This needs a poll.
Well, you can, I've got plenty of other polls. I was just trying to keep things light here. Otherwise, we'll get poll heavy, and then we'll feel like we're doing, Politico or something.
I don't know how to make a poll, so if I did, I would. We could have had it off to the side.
I've got plenty of polls. They're coming. Please, patience. Right. I'll show you. There we go. So we're getting both there.
I'm both. I mean, we all can hunt while we're on our activation, right? Or hunt from home if you don't want to go out, if the weather's yucky, whatever it is. Yep.
Yeah. And it usually tends to be weather. I find a lot of people, including myself, are very comfort oriented, and I don't want to be inconvenienced or have to deal with the rough scenarios of activating, and so anytime I can basically leave myself some comfort, then I'll happily continue to play radio. So all right. Well, yeah, hopefully you guys aren't like that. So if you are a hunter here, or you do a little hunting, hopefully you don't feel like you're racking your brain and, trying to punch through the pileup and not making, the connection there. So let's kind of talk what a hunter's job actually is a little bit, because I think this is going to help you activators a little bit more. You'll have a little better sense of what their job is and how they do it and how effectively they can do it to be able to get contacts with you and understand and read the room. Like a good hunter, I find, is someone who can read the room and know what the activator style is, what they're trying to do, how quickly they can stretch the conversation. Again, activators are good about being able to hear that someone wants to have a conversation or a QSO or a rag-chew a little bit and will allow that. But then some hunters are it's almost like contest style for them. And so activators will be more contest style for them. And so I think a good hunter will know how to be able to understand how they're having a conversation, or when they're, listening for that leading question to say, hey, how you doing kind of thing. Hunters, they definitely don't create pileups. They always know how to navigate them. We always hear the code of contact for DX, for the DX code of conduct is listen, listen, listen. Well, yeah, hunters do that very well. I think one of the things that they don't, get a lot of credit for, great hunters are louder and they're smarter. Bottom line is you'll know that, especially as you start to do your activation more, of the few key people that'll just they'll come in just at the right time and you'll hear them, or there'll be a gap in the onslaught of everyone piling on the pile up, and all of a sudden their call sign will come out shining more. And it's not because they're throwing more power at it. It's not because they have the ultimate set up. It's they're smart about how they get their information and get their voice out there to be heard. So I'm curious, when you're doing this, if you were hunters and only hunters, I guess, if heck, we'll throw it out to there because again, we're getting a lot of boths in there. Do you always call immediately or you listen first? How about you, Shannon?
No, listen first.
Are you just saying that, or like honestly, you always listen first, or you just like sometimes just dive in even after you've been activating? So here, let me set the stage here. So you've already set up the activation, you already spun the dial a little bit, you're kind of matching, the POTA spots to, spinning the dial. You're 100% telling me that you always listen first before you even, jump into something that So say like you find a friend of yours that, you've worked before in another park to park. Do you wait and listen, or do you just dive in and yell park to park?
Yeah, no, of course I want to listen first because I want to see if I can even hear them and if I can hear them well enough to pick them out because I don't like to rely on the POTA spotting page or even like somebody telling me, oh, I'm on such and such frequency. Because if I can't hear them, then there really is no point in even trying to make the contact, right? Because I'm not going to be
Sure.
able to hear them. So it's not really going to be a real contact if we just used the internet to like find each other on the air. So I want to listen, see if I can hear them. I want to hear if other people are calling. I'm not going to call over someone. I'm not a lid. And, I listen for, a few minutes to make sure, especially if it's an activator that I don't know, if it's just somebody that I found on the, the POTA app, I want to make sure that I have the right person, that I have their call sign, that, maybe I hear what park they're in, which is, another thing. I think, didn't you say something like, what do you wish hunters knew for activators? Like, and a lot of people were saying, like, say your call sign more. Like, yes, please, as an activator, say your call sign more because if I didn't find you on the POTA app, or even if I did find you on the POTA app and I don't know if the right person is spotted on the right frequency, I have no idea who I'm trying to call, where I'm trying to call.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and so I'll be honest, because this is the circle of trust here. So there's no shame or whatever. I sometimes fall into that gap because I rely on a lot of the tools like POTA spots.
Neither of us can talk today. What is going on?
I know, right?
It
Yeah,
must
right.
be
Exactly.
It's Friday the 13th.
It's Friday. Yeah, don't say that. I told you. And just like looking at, my 891 doesn't have a waterfall, so that probably, thank God, that's part of the reason why I kind of pause a little bit. But I find like when I spin the dial and I know I'm looking at the spotting page on, say, Polo or Hammers or whatever, if I get to that and I hear noise, I'll give it like 2 seconds and I'll throw out a park to park, like when the QRZ. Like my MO is usually I'll wait for a QRZ versus like waiting for the confirmation as to whether it's a park or whatever. And I know that's bad etiquette, and I know that it's just a bad habit I kind of developed. But I developed it because park to parks are always heard a lot of times, and it doesn't matter what it is. Like another activator always go after that first in most cases. So I kind of play the system there a little bit. I apologize. I'm definitely relearning some bad habits. I think one of the things, as I'm hunting, because if I don't use my, get out of free jail card, ergo the park to park, you do have to apply a very good, rule set of like, hey, listen, understand what you're hearing, understand that you are hearing the right things, because I have run into the problem where I threw out a park to park and it was like one of those park to parks that were on the same frequency, and some people were hearing one park to park, but they couldn't hear the other park to park, and they were both sharing the same band, and nobody was telling them that, hey, they're both on the same frequency kind of thing. So, it's one of those things that, can throw more chaos into the system. So definitely a great hunter is someone who obviously uses those 2 ears first and the mouth second. All right, let's keep plugging away here. So the next thing here is we're going to listen like a hunter, not a button masher. And this is the PTT we're referring to when we say button mashing. Or, CW key if you're so inclined, because we don't talk too much CW. We're more voice here. But in essence, we don't want to exclude our brothers and sisters who are the CW variety. learning an activator's rhythm is important, predicting who they'll call next. Because how many times have we seen or experienced an activation where they don't say QRZ, they just like grab the next call in the list of, they hear after they've already logged the last call. They haven't said 7-3, or they haven't given any indication to the hunter that, they're moving on to the next contact. Or, they kind of, are stumbling over the process, or they'll say QRZ and then they'll say the call sign, which basically just rubs me the wrong way. It's like, chalkboard, nails on a chalkboard kind of thing. So, I have learned and I have seen that, there are a whole slew of ways that activators do their activation, but understanding the rhythm of an activator is important when to be able to insert your call or whatever. And again, it's a cat and mouse game a little bit to think about, because they're not, unless they're the type of like, N1JUR, N1JUR, and they're constantly saying it over and over and over again without like giving any pause or allowing to hear your transmission kind of thing. They need to predict how and who they're going to call next, because that's what activators always are listening for. And if they don't have a headset on, they're kind of listening off their radio. They're trying to hear that next call sign and try to make that out. And some of them are really good. Some of them can write them down, and some of them can mentally, log them in their head. But a lot of times, there are other things as a hunter that that they're dealing with that you just don't know as an activation, doing an activation, like weak signals. I mean, weak signals are not equal as impossible signals. That's, I think, a thing that a lot of us hunters feel like, if I can't hear them, I can't work them. Well, that is the case, but propagation can change on you. What you're listening to at that moment in time, you might not be able to hear the station, but if you stick around for a little bit, all of a sudden that station may come in loud and clear, and then you might get your opportunity in the window to be able to activate them. So it really boils down to kind of those two keys. One, rhythm, understanding what the activator's rhythm is, and then patience. Like, patience is huge. Like, I struggle with patience. My wife will tell me every day, you're not patient. Like, just like be there and like listen to see what's going on, kind of thing. And so patience is very much an important thing we all want to develop. One of the things that kind of stuck out to me is that patience wins logs. And what that really means to me is that if you're patient, that contact is going to get in the log, because what do you got to lose? You just need to work them. You need to spend some time, figuring out the whole strategy.
Yeah, I mean, so as an activator or as a hunter, right? Like, especially once we, as activators get those pileups or whatever, and now as a apparently we have no audio because you.
It's a pain in the ass. There we go.
There we go. Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now?
So,
this is not Verizon's commercial.
So let's see. We'll have to see if they can hear us again.
Yeah, we'll catch.
Yeah, so what I was saying, okay, we're back. So
Okay,
what I
good.
was saying for those of you guys who missed it is, once the activator sort of has a pileup going, and like Eric was saying, every activator has their own rhythm, their own style. maybe they're only calling by, call area numbers. Maybe they're only calling for DX. Maybe they're only calling for park to park. Maybe they're only calling for QRP. Or like, Eric witnessed what I sometimes like to do on a POTA activation, as I did on the 24-hour POTA. And I think Shannon does this too, because we have paper logs, so we can make little notes as we hear partial call signs, and we can say, okay, N1JUR, stand by. I'm going to take K1LY first, and then you'll be next. And then, you take the next person, and then, you call QRZ, and you get a couple more people in the list to add on. So, definitely important to, listen for a few QSOs to have your best chance of, being polite on the air, and not making the activator unhappy and getting in the log.
Very much so. All right, let's reset this one here. Yeah, I want to reset the poll results there. All right, so back to Shannon. Yeah, we're doing polls now. So this one is a quick poll. When you hear an activator, whoa, geez, we're already on the ball here. Go ahead and in the chat there, just put in the hashtag, the letter, word call sign, listen, depends, or PTT, of what type of, or what you do when you hear an activator, for sure. Shannon can't. Oh, all right. So we'll let that keep plugging away here. So, yeah, I think one of the things, we definitely keep drilling home from a hunter standpoint, and more so in the spirit of you being an activator, because a lot of our folks, as we keep saying, are activators here on the show, and that's totally fine. If you don't know who the activator just worked, in essence, you're already behind. And here, that's one of those things that I think as a hunter, when you're doing this stuff, is that if you're not listening, you're not focusing, just like Shannon said, you're not really spending a lot of time giving you the best advantage when you're trying to basically hunt a station. And, it is a lesson or a life skill from a hunter's perspective that can spill over, I think, in my mind, over to activators too as well. A lot of times we're so in the action that we really feel like, we can kind of get away with whatever we say, not in a bad way, but just in the sense that like, hey, we'll just kind of roll into the next thing and we'll do the next thing because it's just a fire hose kind of moment. That I think if we as an activator understand that we slow down, guess what? We're setting the tempo, and those smart hunters that are out there are going to see that and basically know how to go with that rhythm, and then it's going to become this nice little dance. I kind of equate this to a little bit of a dance, because if you've got a good hunter, and we have all experienced a few of them, they know when the pause is there, they know when to be able to get in, they know how to get their call sign in. And most of the time, even just as a natural kind of thing, we subliminally, we don't even pick up on it. I think, at least for myself as an activator, how those things just kind of punch through the noise. And it's not anything like they're putting power behind it. They're not like doing anything special. They're just using those skills that we keep, kind of drilling home there. So something to kind of keep in the back of your head as an activator there, for sure, that you're helping, the balance there. You're showing and setting a good example for all of those. And hopefully, as even some of the, the old OMs and, are in the hobby there, that have, are realizing that when they get into POTA and they're starting to hunt initially, that, give that a try. Change up the system there a little bit for yourself, and see that you might catch more fish, as they say, versus just trying to do it the old way you used to do it when, the expeditions were out there and everybody was just like, throw the call out, and, and I think that's kind of why Split was created, because it's like all these people yelling. I don't want to have to hear in this ear and this ear at the same time. I can do a mismatch balance. So good on that one.
So here's what to think of it like, okay? And this is, who just said it? N2 and WK just said people make POTA harder than it is really. There is no in the spirit of POTA. There is in the spirit of POTA. The spirit of POTA is the spirit of amateur radio, right? Which is supposed to be, courtesy, genteel, gentlemanly, ladylike. Yes, ladylike conduct. So, like, let's just say, pretend that the radio, pretend that the band and the airwaves is like walking into a crowded room, walking into a party, and you walk up to a group of people that are actively engaged in a conversation. And are you just going to plow in like a bull in a china shop and be like, hey, here I am, I'm Shannon, talk to me? Or are you going to slowly approach, stand off to the side, listen to their
Listen.
conversation for a little bit, and wait for, a pause of,
Hmm.
to say, hello, good morning, introduce yourself. I would say, wait for them to acknowledge you, but obviously on the radio can't really do that because they can't physically see you coming up. But that is sort of, the spirit of amateur radio, I think.
That
And,
that's a
think of it like a party.
That's a great way to put it. I appreciate that analogy for sure. That definitely drives home the point for sure. All right, cool. So it looks like most of our activator poll here shows that, yeah, we have a good group of POTA folks here, POTA peeps, as we say. They're all about listening. So keep it up, guys. We appreciate you setting the great example, and continue to move that message forward. We got a couple of quick memberships. You want to grab those real quick while we're transitioning here?
Yeah, so Eric sent 5 gift memberships. We got Jeff, Alpha Alpha 4, Bravo Charlie. We got Paul F. O'Connor. We got Goober Crow 198, Joe Martin Bikes, and Adam November 2 Alpha Lima Foxtrot. All got gift memberships, so congratulations.
Very cool. Thank
You
you,
are now
guys.
members of the Brew Crew.
Woo-hoo. Yes, and N1JUR. So a lot of great stuff. Those that are part of the membership channel and subscribers know that I'm putting out what I call between activation videos. It's nothing per se. It is a little bit of ham radio content, but it's stuff in between. So if you want to get on the inside and see what I do when I'm not doing ham radio every other day of the week, kind of gives you a little bit of insider baseball, as they say. So having some fun with that, and hopefully you guys get to be part of that. All right, let's head back over to our rest of our kind of plan here. So let's get to the next one. So next slide here, hunter frustrations. This I kind of was trying to write in a way that would help our activators understand, where the hunters are coming from. A lot of times hunters have said to me, they, struggle with the missed spots, like, either they're incorrectly spotted, meaning the activators. That seems to be getting a little bit better now with a lot of the tools that are out there. Those that still kind of manually spot, it can be a little bit of a challenge, especially if you got cold fingers or you fat finger something. So just try to take a little bit of time and making sure the information that you're putting out on the spotting page is more accurate. Try to use that description field a little bit better, where it lists like, hey, we've got dual ops, or hey, we're at a 3-fer, or that type of stuff. List those things, because that's what hunters are really looking for. A lot of times they are using the tools that they're very familiar with, like the RBN, the POTA spotting page, all of those kind of self spots and things like that. That's part of their toolkit and how they find you. Especially if they're working you, or if you're so inclined, and I don't do this, but maybe I should start incorporating it more. If you're one of those people that, you're planning your activations a little bit more, and you're, going to go out in a couple of days, we'll use the activators, tab in POTA spots. It kind of gives a hunter an opportunity to kind of scan the list and say, hey, I see all of these people eventually are going to be doing activations. Maybe I just need to kind of keep them in my peripheral view to be able to, see if I can work them when they actually do activate. Other things, late self spots. This is a tough one, especially if you're, again, hunters don't just sit at their console 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They all are other people too. They all kind of hang out and try to play as much ham radio as they can, but they all have lives too as well. So if you're saying you're going to spot something and then you late spot, I mean, obviously some stuff is out of our control as activators for being able to do self spots. But, try to, make sure if you're going to be, in a place that you said you want to be, try to be able to communicate that more quickly so they can work you, because in essence, they're spending time to be able to do the same thing, whereas you're creating the opportunity, let's try to connect both at the same time. The other things that I think us activators have some things to learn from is pileups. We all love the pileup. We all strive for it all the time. But I think in the moment when we're dealing with the pileup, we tend to forget how we sometimes reward maybe bad behaviors or don't create a rhythm. Like Shannon had mentioned earlier, maybe an activator, is doing doing 1 calls, 2 calls, or they're doing it by, the first letter being W or whatever. Some of them do that. Some of them have that process. So try to keep consistency in the foreground, especially when you're activating. It will help you because it will keep you at a calm rhythm as an activator. But at the same time, it doesn't allow bad behavior to come in, because we all have been witness to those, those new hunters that are just like blabbing out their call every 5 seconds, because that's all they figure the louder they scream, the more they're going to be picked up in the room. Using Shannon's analogy, who's going to reward the person yelling over in the corner of the room, way above the whole entire conversation? You're going to more than likely have the look, of disdain towards them, and you're going to move your party farther away from them. So it will be from an activator that, that would be kind of my stance. I'm not going to reward someone who's just constantly throwing out their call all the time, because in essence, I'm trying to create an opportunity to invite everybody in to have that. And that's what, I think a lot of hunters deal with when it comes to, a struggle as an activator. Is like, we're trying to spend time understanding who you are and how you operate. So try to keep some consistency a little bit. Just something kind of food for thought. And then last piece is always hearing everyone accept the activator. This is a tough thing as a hunter that I think a lot of us activators don't always kind of consider. I know I don't, is that I'm just there creating the opportunity. I'm not thinking like, oh, well, like say there's a QRP station and, they're trying to get in, but they're not hearing the activator, but they hear a whole bunch of people just all like, in the pileup. That is a tough thing as a hunter, because I've spun the dial a couple of times and maybe I'm just out of the skip zone as a hunter. Maybe, one of my antennas is not, optimized enough to be able to benefit making those connections. So some of those hunters will get frustrated, especially if they want to work. Like I know here in New England, this kind of plays into our effect a little bit. We'll have a buddy go out, and I do this with Izzo from time to time. Izzo's in Connecticut, for those that know Smoke Signals RF. And he'll go out there and activate, and my ham alert will go off. Well, he's on 20. And anybody knows that if you're in 20 and you're like literally a state away, you can't hear them whatsoever, because it's just your signal's just going right over them. It
depends on the state, but
it does.
Here in New England, it's like 20 meters is automatically skipping right out of New England.
Exactly. And sometimes 40 too, depending on, the day and whatever. But, think about those as an activator a little bit. If you want to get more localized contacts, so say maybe you're, a good example is you're, worked all states as a POTA hunter, and you want to get Vermont. Well, if you're in Massachusetts or New Hampshire, forget that. I mean, you're better off making a 2-meter contact in most cases than you are trying to get like something in the HF. Try to think about how you can maybe set up other NVIS style antennas, that type of configuration, to be able to help those more localized contacts be able to get, in contact with you to get into their log. So, think in terms of a wider casting net as an activator for these folks that are, obviously there to try to work you. All right. And then I guess the one thing you can kind of take away is this me or is everyone else cheating? Like I find a lot of times when I hunt, especially when I spin, when I first got in ham radio, I bought the most expensive toys kind of, and my flex, a lot of times I'm thinking, oh, the flex has got to be super great. I can suck signals out. It doesn't matter. It's just, your equipment can do a little bit of the work, but you as a hunter have to, spend a little bit more time trying to improve that to be able to hear them better. So moving on. So what do we get? Anything pop up there questions wise, Shannon, as I'm going to the next slide here?
No, we just got, we got Mike N2 MAK joined us. We got Ted, Whiskey One TED. I think he's been in here for a little bit. We got K9 JPP just jumped in. Tom Whiskey 9 TEF. So, Bricker just came in. So good morning to all the newcomers.
Cool. All right. Well, let's keep plugging away here. So why do some hunters always seem to get through? This is kind of one of the things, again, there are in the hunter community and in some of my experiences and learning, I think one of the things is timing. Timing is a big opportunity that hunters, coupled with patience and learning how to learn rhythms, timing is everything, as they say. Learning to see where the call sign volume is, because a lot of times you can get in later as the volume dies down and you can, basically put your call out there. You might be a weaker signal to the activator, but in terms of the large amount of like volume of noise and audio, you're probably not being heard. But if you let that pile die down a bit, then you're able to get through a little bit more clearer and be able to get picked out of the just above the noise floor kind of things. The other thing too here that I don't think a lot of I know from an activator side I hear and listen for a lot is partial calls. Like my call sign is a tough call sign, N1JUR. The U and the R and the J throw everybody off. So a lot of times I'll use Juliet Uniform Radio and I won't say N1, or sometimes I'll just say N1 at the beginning, and those things are more easier to pull out. Or I'll say Japan Uniform, and a lot of people hear the word Japan more and think I'm a Japan station more than I'm a local US based station. But using kind of those little tricks as a hunter might get you that little extra boost into knowing or getting heard over everyone just doing their full call sign phonetically or whatever. And not that that's a bad thing, but in essence, if you're looking for that little bit of an edge as a hunter, having that opportunity to be able to say, N1, KC or whatever. And a lot of times, or OHT tends to be something that might be picked up much easier than, something the KC1 OHT, where a whole bunch of the KC1s are all throwing their call signs out there at the same time. So always.
Well, I already have the number one hunter advantage.
You do? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
because they always say I heard a YL in there. See,
Well, that's because they
Shannon
can't
just
hear
said the
any other
same
call
thing.
sign.
Of course, as a YL hunter, we oftentimes jump to the front of the line. Just
Abuse that
saying.
privilege. Yes.
Exactly.
It is always the easier. Like I'll hear, we all hear it, so we all know. So we'll skip right over that because we know that that's just unfair advantage to some folks with a deeper voice.
And so Ted is saying, non-standard phonetics straight to jail. But if you look, if you have one of those quirky QRP maps, there are actually approved alternate phonetics, which usually tends to be like names of countries. And some countries, some places don't use NATO phonetics. The United States is not the only place that does ham radio, okay? And ITU Region 2, which I think, are we Region 1, Region 2? I don't know. We're not the only region, okay, guys? So, there are different band plans. There are different phonetics out there. So let's not jump down the throats of people that use alternate phonetics. Sometimes you have to use those alternate phonetics to be understood, right? Because you have people with different accents. They're not used to our accent. We're not used to theirs. They might not be understanding what we're saying. Oscar, Hotel, Tango. Sometimes I have to say Ocean, Hungry, Texas, or, only handy talkies.
Or when I first got my call sign, I was trying to come up with a little nice mock here. I'm like, just use radio. That doesn't, the you use, it's no one uses that. It's that's not going to fly. So, it is, give grace to those, in terms of the phonetic stuff. I know a lot of times people try to get things out there, like Shannon said, but it's all in good fun with all the choice. And we will give you a get out of jail free card there, Ted. And I'm sorry I'm stealing all your content. I know this is, right up your alley. You had mentioned in the Discord. I can't give away all your secrets. Well, they aren't secrets really, but all good either way.
Chris says you should spice it up and use jalapeno.
Jalapeno? That's too hard. Jalapeno uniform. If you can figure out a better U, I'd be happy. But uniform, United, those are really the only two that I can think of that actually roll off the tongue easy. Ulysses doesn't fly, uniform, it kind of gets tripped on. All right. So the other things, a few other things you can kind of glean from hunters always getting through. They know, obviously, wait for the pileup to die out. The few that always come through at the end of the pileups or when the pileup deluge kind of stops, those are the guys that know how to play the wait game. And funny thing is, calling less often works better, which seems contradictory. It does not. A lot of people, using Shannon's, room conversation example, how many more times do you have to ask someone to repeat the same thing because the room is so noisy? Same thing kind of goes, well, let the noise die down and then, get your call out there and do it, in a way that, is kind of clear, using basically some of the timing and partial call signs might help. Bottom line is if you're calling every cycle, you're just competing with yourself. I think that's kind of a good, words to live by when, you're hunting and trying to get your call out to, an activation.
I have to say, they were some people in the chat, like Shannon and maybe Ted, were saying, the people that call like over everyone else or when it's not their turn. Let's face it, a lot of times they tend to be kind of like Italian stations, Spanish stations from Spain. We know, the Italian QRP people, and they were saying, they just ignore them, the people that call before you call QRZ or whatever. I have to say, I'm guilty of taking those calls, guys. So if I'm the one that's feeding the bad behavior, I'm sorry. But sometimes it's like, no matter how much you try to ignore them, they're not going away. So
Yeah.
I just take them to get them out of there so that I can, take the other people. And they're always loud and strong signals on top of everyone else. So, I usually just take them so fast, like, okay, I have you in the log 5-9, bye.
We'll call them Shannon's QSO bodyguards. They basically take the rowdy person out of the room, dismiss them, and haul them away. And, bottom line with this is I yell at the radio sometimes. I'm going to be honest.
I talk to myself when I'm doing it, or I talk to Grouch sitting next to me, like this person, can they just shut up, go away?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not that I don't love and appreciate every QSO and every hunter, but yes, if you guys aren't being polite and playing by the rules, I'm going to talk about you.
You heard it from Mama OHT. All right, we're going to bust a few myths here. So with this, first one is you need an amp to be a good hunter. Hell no, you don't. I have known a lot of great hunters that are QRP. They can do it on milliwatts and watts and get through. It's about skill. It's about patience. It's about learning the rhythm, everything we kind of touched upon. As an activator, you will give the time to someone that has been in the pileup for a little while and trying to get through, but all of a sudden comes through shining. I will always take the time to be able to give that person, the attention to be able to get them there on the log because I know they've been there for a little while. So it's always, patience will win out in the long run when it comes to being a hunter and hitting up those good activations. You only need a big antenna, or only big antennas win. Nope. I've done it on a wire. I've done it on a vertical. There are people out there that have HOA restrictions. They do it from their, attic antennas. It is not per se the biggest antenna wins ever. It's all about those same skills that we try to drive home. And I think it's a lost art. It's funny because I just as a sidebar, I saw T.O.'s quick short about how he was talking about Hayden's introduction to ham radio course for new ham radio operators, and one of the things that he mentioned was mentoring. It's lost a little bit, and I think one of the things that we can teach, obviously either through this format or just when we're out doing POTAs ourselves, is to take a moment to just kind of show or just, help people along that, come with you to do an activation. When we do our meetups, I always try to get someone in front of a radio, but at the same time, I also try to give little tidbits of like, hey, try it this way. It might help. Or, maybe this might, what are you struggling with? Let's see what we can do, and mentor the situation better, because it helps develop better people who know how to be able to run an activation, and better people who know how to hunt better, because you're helping them along the way, because they don't have any prior skill, and they're either listening to bad behavior and saying, oh, well, that's what we need to do. Or they're just trying to kind of, do the old hunt and peck, see what it kind of works and see what sticks. Try mentoring a little bit more, and I think that will help both on the hunter side and on the the activator side, and it will make this that much better in the long run for a lot of new future hams. And then the last,
I would say, not, it's not only big antennas win, but more efficient antennas do win, and also. In terms of like needing, you don't need an amp or whatever. You can definitely do it on, 100 watts or less.
Yep.
But making sure that your radio is set up in the best possible way to give you the best possible outcomes. So like having that compression on if you have it available, having that processing on, narrowing your, transmitting bandwidth to, give your voice that extra punchiness to help, get through the pileup or be heard more easily. So,
Yep.
there is so many things that you can do before going to, more power or bigger antenna.
Yep, 100%. And funny thing is, that's actually a good little quick segue. If you haven't already kind of figured the pattern out here, we're kind of just starting with some basic good topics along the way. We're circling back, and we're going to get into the weeds. We're going to start talking about power. We're going to talk about resonance. We're going to talk about all of those nerdy things that we, kind of alluded to very early on along the way. So if you kind of come here and you're like, well, this is kind of like elementary stuff. Well, yeah, there is stuff you can definitely gain from this, but we're going to get into the weeds. We're going to talk more about like, exactly what Shannon was mentioned, better resonance, better antennas, tuning, using, things like, DSP and DNR and all of those, features on the radio that you just kind of ignore when you're doing a, activation or hunting. So, all right. The last one is, you have to hunt all day. No. That's definitely a busted myth. I think we as activators sometimes just mentally log hey, hunters are always there. They're just waiting. They're going to pop up, and all of a sudden they're going to activate us and roll off to the next one, because that's all they do during the day. No, they're very much like us. They're out doing we're doing an activation, but they're like, oh, I want to work said park in this area because I'm looking to. And they have very set goals and very set plans about what they want to do and who they want to work and how they're going to work. And they're planning and strategizing throughout their day of whatever they've got going on a lot of times to figure out, hey, can I work, this person in this area? I see that they're being, they're part of the activation. But they're not sitting at their radio 24/7, beck and call, kind of like put a quarter in and you get an activation, you get a hunter contact kind of thing. They're very much, out there doing the thing. They may be mobile. They may be, in their shacks, but they're not always there all the time. So, like we said, or like we mentioned early on with the few folks, when we gave the credit out there for the hunters, the unsung heroes. Yeah, those guys, they aren't spending all day. They're in a little bit. They know who they want to work. They then get out there, they work them, and then they move on. All right. If the last time to take away from this one, if Gear 1 pileups, contests would be boring. I would probably guess. I mean, if it would be who with the biggest bankroll and who if can throw the most hardware at it to be able to make the most contacts. It doesn't really matter, how much power you're throwing at it and how much, how great or efficient your antennas are, and whether you got a tower or you're running a wire. It's very much the operator that makes all of that happen and leverages everything that they have to their benefit. All right, last one, kind of takeaways here. And so we're going to kind of close this one out. Best hunters don't rush. They don't panic. They don't brute force. Those that are honoring or giving space for those folks that are just constantly throwing out calls, you're not helping them learn to be better hunters. So try to kind of shape your activation a little bit better. Try to be able to, give a better plan to how you can encourage your hunters to do something and work towards, giving more space for more contacts for both you, yourself, and your activation and the hunter. You got something you want to share there, Shannon?
Yeah, but we can wait till
Go after?
the end.
All right. No problem. All right. The last thing is they listen, they adapt, and they enjoy the hunt. That's the nice part. Hunters love to do hunting. That's what they love to do. When we say, we have our unsung heroes and the folks that always work us, they do it because they love to do it. So treat that with a high level of respect, because in essence, they're taking time out of the day to work you because they want to work you. They want to be part of that contact. They want to be part of that experience. And, I know being a YouTuber, I know I get a lot of the same, new contacts, and they know when they're working me and they have conversations with me and they're like, oh yeah, we always love your channel and stuff like that. But beside that, they do it because they love to hunt. They love to be able to find you. They love to be able to make contacts with you. They like that challenge to see if they can work their gear, their situation, their shack to the best level they can to be able to get that contact in the log. And every one of those contacts in their log, it's pride for them. They love it. So we're going to talk in our next one for Brew and Activate is we're going to get it tactical. We're going to talk about spotting strategy, operating techniques, and hunters or what hunters care about. So keep that filed in the back of your computers there. That's what we're going to cover next week. And, this is the kind of the 3-week series of hunters. So we're going to give the hunters the credit they're due, get into more. Again, helping you, most of the folks out there that are activators, understanding who you're hunting, who you're basically picking out of the call pile up there, and making you more of a better, efficient activator. But at the same time, maybe if you are a hunter, hopefully stuff is ringing and resounding to you. So let's give Shannon the screen here. Let me pop this off here real quick.
So I was just going to say next Brew and Activate, we're getting tactical. Shouldn't that be we're getting tactical?
Ooh, yes. Using words there.
So, this is sort of not really related to POTA, I guess, but it is related to YLs. So, maybe we should start a new segment on Brew and Activate, Shannon's YL, She Shed, or KC1 OHT contest corner, whatever you want to call it. But in case you guys didn't know, there is a contest. I'm pretty sure it's going on right now because it started on February 13th at 00 UTC. So I think that actually would have been like yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Around like 8 p.m. our time, Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
It goes until February 14th at 2400 UTC. So I think it ends tomorrow. UTC time confuses me, guys. So, but
2399, 559.
Yeah,
There's no 2400.
So these are the time frames. It's the YLRL, the Young Ladies Radio League, YLOM contest. OMs are supposed to call CQYL and YLs are supposed to call CQOM. And, you make contacts, you get points for however many contacts. All the bands are eligible except for the work bands. So no 12, 17, or 60. And yeah, that's pretty much that for, a contest that is literally going on now. And it looks like you can get digital contacts too. RIDI, PSK 31, those count as CW, it looks like. So if you're interested in that, we can drop the link to the ylrl.net /contests
throw it in the chat
page there. I'll throw that in the chat right now. And then for things that are coming up, right, that we've been talking about this whole time, on Tuesday, actually the 17th, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on Ham Radio Clubhouse talking about International Women's Day YL POTA Party that is coming up on March 8th. So it's like 3 weeks away at this point. So we're going to be talking about that. And then that same week, I found out that there is this other sort of event. If you guys have heard of like WWA Worldwide Award, I guess they just did a big thing back in January. It's based on this website, hamaward.cloud, which has like real-time logging and awards. So they're doing a YLWWA, YL Worldwide Award.
Very
And
cool.
it is the same week as International Women's Day. So it starts on March 9th. And goes until March 14th, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. But I signed up to be an activator for that as well. Actually, it's not sharing the other tab. So there we
You
go.
have to
We'll do
read.
that tab.
Yeah.
There we go.
There.
So this contest, the YLWWA, starts in 23 days. Or it's not really a contest, it's an event, because this event you can do 12, 17, but not 60. Because it is worldwide, and in IAU Region 1, you can only use 60 meters if you are a full license in the UK, and I'm not sure what the stipulations are for other countries over there on 60 meters. So 60 is not eligible for that particular contest. But so be looking out for a lot of young ladies to get on the air for that. I did kind of already share it around in some different Discord circles and tag some of my YLs that I knew about. I'm going to try to do it from some POTA parks. You do need to have internet connection and access to a web browser, because they want you to log on that Ham Award platform. So I'm going to try to do it using my phone, the 5G cell phone connection. We're very lucky here that a lot of our, POTA parks do have good cell phone coverage.
Yep.
And other than that, I'll probably maybe do a little bit of operating from the Cara Clubhouse, Whiskey One, Golf Lima Oscar.
Cool.
Wow. So
All right.
lots of good events and contests coming up, especially things that are sort of YL centric.
Very cool. Well, we'll have to workshop the she shed idea and get back to create something here if we got something going. It might be fun.
Shannon, she shack.
She shack. Okay, fine. No, not shed, shack. HACK. All right, we'll get working on that one. Cool. All right. Well, hopefully, this didn't, put you too much to sleep, because I know, again, we have a lot of great activators here in our midst. So hopefully this gave you a little bit more deeper insight into the mind of a hunter here. And like next week, we are talking more tactical, to borrow a phrase. The idea is to educate everybody, to be able to really just kind of blow this POTA thing up so people can really get more into the weeds and understand what's going on. And heck, I love talking about it. I mean, that's kind of why I decided, heck, we're going to, talk more POTA, and why not? So hopefully you're enjoying that and appreciate everybody being part of the conversation there. And heck, we always like to continue this on over at our Discord. So make sure you click the pin at the top of the chat there if you haven't been part of the Discord. Come let us know how you feel, about this topic, or, if you got a topic yourself you want to share, feel free to leave that there, and we'll make sure we get it in, because there's been some really great listener-submitted topics that we've done in the past. So with that, we appreciate all the stuff that you guys are doing, because, this has been a blast, and I'm super excited to see kind of where we go with 2026 and all of you guys. And so keep the POTA stuff coming. Keep hanging out with us. And as always, just POTA on for sure. So I don't know, Shannon, you got any last things?
No, just, keep that PTT down. And
you're going to plug it?
Yeah, I stole your line.
Oh, boy, man. Oh, that's painful. All right. Well, so I'm going to throw this out here now. If you guys want to see Shannon host a show, put it in the comments. Let us know over in the Discord. Maybe help her out with a topic. I don't know. Like, I'd love to have her kind of take the controls there, and I can have the fun in the background.
Wow.
Because there we go. We're gonna put you on the spot.
Just so you know, I think I have the harder job.
You do. I'm not saying you don't. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff. You will find out how hard the planning up to the point of when we do this is. So, good there. All right. Well, with that, as always, thanks again for hanging out with us today on Brew and Activate. Remember, whether you're activating or hunting, the goal is simple. Have fun, stay safe, keep exploring. Until next time, say it with me, Shannon. Keep your radios on. The PTT down. Come on. POTA on.
And POTA on.